Here's a rather curious story. A man once spent 20 years trying to break into a room. He studied the art of lockpicking with great dedication. Books about security systems piled up around him. He even invented special tools of his own design. Morning after morning, he would return to that same door, quite convinced that with enough effort, he would finally succeed. Then one afternoon, a little child happened to walk by. The child watched him for a moment and asked the most innocent question. "Why don't you just turn the handle?" The man paused. He reached out, turned the handle, and the door opened at once. It had never been locked. 20 years, isn't that a marvelous thing? And yet you begin to wonder how often we find ourselves in exactly this sort of situation. You see, this is very much like the kind of stories the old Zen masters loved to tell. They called them koans. Short, playful little tales that seem almost too simple at first. But if you sit with them for a while, you can actually watch your own mind at work, and you notice how cleverly it creates difficulties where none are necessary nor exist. The delightful part is that life itself keeps offering you these stories every single day, no monastery required. Your thinking turns ordinary moments into the most elaborate puzzles all by itself. Now listen lightly. What follows are 5 more stories. Let each one rest for a moment. Sometimes what you have been reaching for appears the instant you let go of your searching, even if only a little. Some windy day in Bristol, a woman spent the entire morning hunting for her glasses. She searched every part of her little flat, the kitchen, the bedroom, every drawer she could find, under furniture, and inside every possible bag while her frustration steadily grew. Finally, after 2 hours, she sat down on her bed defeated. How could she have lost them? Now she had to spend her hard-earned money to get a new pair. She felt like the biggest idiot in the world. Just then, her friend came in, took one look at her and started laughing. "Are you looking for your glasses again?" the friend asked. "They're on your face." How many times have we all done something very similar? The mind becomes completely convinced that something essential is missing. So off it goes on a grand expedition through the outside world, until suddenly the obvious reveals itself in the most embarrassing way. In 1488, a cartographer who many had called a perfectionist before made it his life's mission to create the perfect map. He measured every mountain with a tape and traced every river and road with absolute precision. Year after year, his work grew larger and more detailed, until at last the map had become the same size as the land it described. The map was perfect at last, and utterly useless. A map is only useful because it simplifies things. The moment it tries to include everything, it stops being a map and becomes nothing more than a duplicate of the world. And so we laugh, because isn't this precisely what we do with all our ideas and explanations about life? A man who had been thrown into the deepest, darkest dungeon in one of the most dangerous prisons of the world once devoted many long years to studying the meaning of freedom. Philosophy books towered along the walls of his tiny cell. Religious texts that were littered everywhere on the ground received careful, almost daily attention. He wrote countless pages exploring what it truly meant to be free. Then one day a guard carelessly left the door open. The prisoner looked up from his desk and saw the open doorway. Freedom was within reach, to be experienced. He stood there for a moment looking at it, thinking of everything he could do. Then he turned around and sat down again, returning to his writing. After all, he thought, He really ought to finish understanding freedom before actually experiencing it. Now there is something wonderfully absurd about this scene. Here was a man who wanted freedom more than anything else in the world. He had spent his whole life thinking about it, and when it finally stood right in front of him, he was too busy with his thoughts to notice. A young fish swam up to an older fish one day with a rather puzzled expression. "I have been searching my whole life for this thing that others call ocean," he said. "Can you please tell me where it is?" The older fish smiled and replied gently, "My dear, you are swimming in it right now." The young fish looked around in confusion. "This," he said, "this is just water." Swimming in the very thing he was looking for and still asking where to find it. What a wonderful comedy life creates for us. In a faraway land, let's call it Ohio, a traveler started walking. He spent 40 years wandering the roads of the world in search of a special place he called home. He studied old maps and asked the locals and every wise person he met for directions. Souvenirs and notes from every land he had visited filled his heavy backpack. Each evening he'd sit by the fire and dream of the day he'd finally turn a corner and recognize the place he had always longed for. One evening he stopped at a small village inn and sat down to rest his tired and hurting feet. The innkeeper looked at him with a gentle smile and asked, "You look like you have come a long way, friend. Where are you from?" The traveler sighed deeply. "I have been searching for home my whole life." The innkeeper laughed softly and said, "But you are home. This is the very village where you were born. You left it 40 years ago, yet you have been walking in circles around it ever since." The traveler looked around in astonishment. He had been home the entire time. Ah, isn't that a marvelous thing? We walk around searching for something we already carry with us, never noticing that the journey itself has been taking place inside the very place we dream of reaching. When people first hear these stories, they sometimes feel a little confused. It just seems a little too obvious. It can't be that simple, right? The mind keeps turning, hunting for some hidden meaning. But if you stay with them for a while, a rather clear pattern begins to show itself. In each story, someone is desperately searching for something they believe lies somewhere else. The man struggles with the door. The woman turns the house upside down. The cartographer tries to capture the whole world. The prisoner studies freedom. The young fish asks where the ocean is. And in every single case, the answer is the same. What they wanted had been there all along. These little tales are so effective because they let you catch your own mind in the act of creating its private problems. Life keeps serving up fresh examples all the time. So, the next time you catch yourself in a great struggle, you might simply pause and look again. Quite often you will find the handle was there the whole time, waiting to be turned. So carry these stories lightly with you. There is no need to analyze them to death. Just let them float around in the back of your mind like a friendly joke that the universe enjoys telling. Because in the end, the real awakening rarely comes from discovering some brilliant new answer. And what was never missing becomes wonderfully obvious all by itself. Did any of the things said here resonate? Did they feel like they were true for you? Then you might feel like looking a little further into it. For that purpose, we have put together a digital retreat that is built to bring you into direct contact with the clarity that's here and has been here your entire life. Through carefully designed meditations, teachings, and simple pointers that remove the unnecessary effort around this whole subject, you will find what's real and what isn't. If that sounds like something worth exploring, you'll find the link in the description. And if you prefer to listen to our videos with or without music, you can find them on Patreon.